Britt Baron, who plays the voice of Tifa. Thank you very much for being here today. I know this was it was a little bit last minute. We kind of just jumped on you and said, look, would you like to do this? And you very kindly agreed. So thank you very much for doing that.
Thank you for having me. I was not doing anything else, so.
Yeah, it's really worked in everyone's favor, right? Because usually you try and contact people, oh, can you do this convention? Can you do this interview? And it's just, no, unfortunately, I'm too busy. I've got this gig on. I can't do that. I can't do it. And everyone's like, yeah, I've got all the time in the world.
Just sitting around. So,
I assumed you were free because I recently started following you on Twitter. And I was like, oh, okay, I wonder if, what she's up to at the moment. And then I saw the Fruit Loops video and I was like, yeah, I think she might be free. So I was like, I'll reach out. I'll reach out.
Much time on her hands, actually.
Was that TikTok?
Yeah, last week when the boredom really hit.
Everyone joins TikTok.
I guess I'll start doing this, yeah.
I was watching it and I was like, Fruit Loops. I was like, and I hate to tell you, I've never had a Fruit Loop in my life. I hope that doesn't insult you.
What?
I don't know if they, originally from England, I don't know if we have Fruit Loops in the UK. I live in Canada now. I definitely have them here.
Yeah.
But, sorry.
I had a sugar-filled childhood, so...
Oh, well, so did I. But I've never had Fruit Loops. Are they all like different flavors?
Yeah, but ultimately I feel like they all feel the same in there.
Gotcha. Bet you didn't see this as the direction of your conversation talking about the remake, and here we are talking about Fruit Loops and TikTok. But it is the way of the world. Anyway, thank you very much for being here. And I'm pleased to see that you're staying safe. The world is a crazy place right now. It's good to see everyone is keeping safe. So we're here to talk about Final Fantasy VII Remake, which is quite a big deal. Now, I'm curious, were you overly familiar with the Final Fantasy series before this opportunity came round?
No, I hate to say that, but
That's okay.
I grew up, I'm just being honest. I grew up in a household where video games definitely weren't encouraged by any means.
Okay.
I think if my parents had known the trajectory of my future,
they may
maybe
have changed. Yeah, they're slightly different.
Because I feel a little out of the loop and I'm a little behind. But I think in a way it was freeing for me because I didn't fully understand the scope of what I was walking into. And I think in a way, if I had, it might have been crippling because it's just so massive.
Mm.
It's just really intimidating.
You think you would have been a lot more nervous going in if you'd realized the power of the character?
I definitely understood. I definitely did my research and I understood how massive this is. And I had recognized Cloud and I knew of Final Fantasy. I think it really wasn't until probably E3 when the cast was announced and people started reaching out on social media that I fully understood how much it meant to people, especially because I've done other video games, but I think what's different about this remake is that people played it at such a different time in their life and there's so much nostalgia.
Oh, for sure.
Expectations are so high. It's definitely just it's big shoes to fill.
Oh, and you seem to have filled them perfectly fine. I'm about 8 hours into the remake and I've spent quite a bit of time with Tifa and so far it's perfect. It's excellent. So
thank you. Oh my
you're
gosh.
welcome. And I'm sure everyone will say the same in time. But looking at the role, were you approached? Did someone come to you for the audition, or did you see the audition and think, "Oh, I'm going to go for that"?
So I was requested through my voiceover agent. They had reached out to them. I think they had maybe seen me on Glow, and there were some interviews where they heard my voice. So I went in and auditioned. And I remember I was very bold in an unusual way. I think sometimes my nerves can hold me back, but I really went in with this mentality of, ask me how high to jump and I'll jump, I'll do anything you want. But I didn't hear back for months. So I think I had let it go. And when I got the call from my agent, I didn't even understand exactly
what it was like. Sorry, who is this? So what do you want? Yeah.
Oh, I went up for that, months ago. Yeah. So. It was a lot of waiting.
I'm sure it was. Oh, and John said the same thing. He said he was waiting for months before he heard anything back and just assumed the worst, but was really
Yeah,
surprised that he got it.
because usually you don't hear if you don't get the part. You just don't hear anything. So you
True.
assume, great, let that one, forget about that.
Fair. So we have some questions here from the just the general KupoCon community. My good friend Alan has vetted these questions, so I assume that they are good, though this is my first time reading them, so let's keep our fingers crossed.
Okay.
So this question comes from Brogan. He says, "Hi Britt, thank you for taking the time on here and on my birthday. What is it like being part of the Final Fantasy universe?"
Oh gosh, I think it's really surreal to be a part of something that's so massive and that means so much to so many people. I think it's partly very intimidating and scary because everyone has a different expectation. I feel like it's similar sometimes to walking into when beloved book series are made into movies and everyone has a different interpretation of what those characters are. So it's a little scary as the actor, but I also think it's such an honor. As an actor, we all want to be a part of these. Final Fantasy is an adventure story and it's told on this massive scale and it's beloved by so many people. So at the same time, as an actor, it's really, really exciting and it's a rare opportunity.
Like, even though you said that you weren't really familiar with the Final Fantasy series, the fact that you knew who Cloud was just shows it's such an iconic character that it's massive, right?
Exactly. It's like sweeping, and even for somebody that didn't play the game, the fact that I knew him, I think, is very telling to how massive this is.
Oh, for sure. Scott asks, how does it feel knowing you have voiced one of the most influential characters in Final Fantasy? Was there a lot of pressure? We kind of covered it a little bit, but like, how does it feel? You know, like 7 in a whole is probably, for most people, it is their favorite game in the series. A lot of players, including myself, the first game I played was Final Fantasy VII, so it holds a special place in your heart, right? So, like, pressure-wise, did you feel that going in?
I mean, definitely. I felt a ton of pressure. I think the first recording session I went into, I was just hoping to not get fired. I think for the next few days, I was waiting and hoping my agent didn't call me to say they made a mistake. So I definitely felt a lot of pressure because people have fallen in love with other versions of Tifa. At the same time, luckily in the original, she wasn't voiced. None of these characters were voiced.
Right, it was up to the interpretation of the
and
player.
it's imagination.
Yeah.
So I think in the same token, it gave me some freedom as an actor to bring my own interpretation and to kind of develop our own version with our creative team and me and them. So that was exciting, but it's definitely intimidating. At the same time, what a dream character for an actor to play. I mean, she is so iconic. I think one of the most iconic female video game characters of all time, maybe.
For sure.
What a once in a lifetime, experience for me.
Technically won't be a once in a lifetime, actually. It'll be a multi, right?
Yeah.
The next question comes in from Mitchie. She says, "Hi Britt, thank you so much for being available today. What made you want to audition for the part of Final Fantasy game? Was it because of a prior interest in the series? Well, we know that that's not the case. Or a connection to the character Tifa, or another reason altogether?"
So unfortunately, I don't get to choose who I audition for.
Yeah.
I don't get breakdowns. I have no idea what's out there. I pretty much just get told, even with television and film auditions, you just get told when and where to go. But I think I fell in love with Tifa deeply. I think she is so iconic and a role model for me. I think it's, in my experience, I'd done other video games, but for the most part, a lot of video game characters are archetypes. If I'm playing a soldier or somebody that's a fighter, she's usually aggressive and in a lower register of mine and angry all the time and one-dimensional. And I think what I'm excited about with Tifa is that she's so dynamic and so fully developed in the sense that she is very strong. She's out for revenge. She definitely is passionate and angry, but at the same time, very coy and shy and empathetic and kind and calculated, especially compared to Cloud and Barrett, who are kind of headstrong. So as an actor, I was really drawn to playing a character like that because that I think is a little bit more unique and what I think sets Final Fantasy apart. It's this really fully developed story and fully developed characters, and you get to play all of these different emotions instead of just soldier.
Gotcha. Well, there's a character in Final Fantasy 13. She's the main character, Lightning. I'm not sure if you're familiar with her. She's voiced by Ali Hillis. Do you know Ali?
No.
A lovely lady. And the character Lightning is rather tomboyish, but a very powerful character. But what I find really interesting, as you've said, is that Tifa she's a girly girl. She's a girl, but she's also a really, really strong character. And for a game that was made in 1997 to be portraying a strong woman, let's face it, is quite unheard of. I mean, like throughout the 2000s into 2010, there's been the movement for, strong women, and I think that it's quite amazing that a game that is so really archaic picked up on these things, and now we're able to see it in a fully, remade game.
And I love that she can be a badass and also very feminine at the same time. I think sometimes we put women in these certain boxes where you can only be one type of woman.
Absolutely.
And within us, I have all these different versions, inside of me, and I think all women do. So I like that Tifa is all of these different things wrapped up in one.
There's no gender specificness to it. There's no stereotypicalness. It's just she is who she is.
Yeah.
The next question comes in from Danny. What is your favorite characteristic of Tifa? That comes in at a good time. And are there any similarities between yourself and her?
Oh, I wish. I was always joking the whole time that I wanted to be Tifa in real life. I guess what I love about her isn't necessarily one characteristic. It's that she is a strong fighter who's so passionate and at the same time can step back and lead with love and kindness. So it's that dynamic that I love about her. I definitely can get fired up and passionate about things. And I think in certain instances I can be quite shy depending on the circumstances like Tifa. So a lot of that I was able to relate to. I grew up, I'm Italian, so I think sometimes my hot-headedness can get the best of me. So I need to learn from Tifa's ability to kind of step back.
Oh, I know all about that. One of the voice actors from 15, Liam Mulvey, his girlfriend is Italian, Vanda. She's got fire. She's a fiery woman.
I know.
I wouldn't want to piss off Vanda.
She's like, watch that. You get that from your dad's side. Because I can see red, I get angry. Yeah. So I like that Tifa's able to do that, but also manage that rage within her.
I'll keep that in mind if we ever meet in person. I'll make sure to have a bodyguard on standby just in case you don't like the contract or something. So we move to a question from Becky, who says Tifa's theme is one of the more memorable Final Fantasy songs. Is there any, and again, you're not very familiar with the series, but are there any songs in the Final Fantasy series or in the game that you've heard that really caught your attention?
I think the music's beautiful. I mean, I think what really caught my attention, I didn't make it to E3, but I did see the reveal of when they did the trailer and when Tifa's music comes in and Tifa is first revealed and the reaction.
I think it was in the bar, wasn't it?
Yeah. So the reaction in the audience was so moving to me and really scary, but exciting. And I think the music's beautiful, but unfortunately when we're recording, it's not like they're playing.
It's not like they've set the mood for you, candles, a drink. Yeah.
So my experience in recording the game is so different and so fragmented, and sometimes we have picture, but the picture isn't even fully done. So it'll be like Tifa with half her arm moving with no background. And so I'm excited to get to play the game with all of the music in the final.
I've always found it incredible how a voice actor can go into a booth with nobody else and have some complete stranger reading lines. And I know that's what acting is, and but it's incredible to see, and then to see it in the game and see the chemistry between Cloud and Tifa and for it to feel so natural. So, kudos to you, because you're obviously doing something really good to be able to do that, because you're doing it in a studio where you don't have that, right?
Yeah, I mean, what's great, I didn't even meet Brianna until PAX East a few weeks ago.
Cody, that looked like you had a lot of fun with that.
Oh my gosh, that was amazing. I was like blown away by that. But Cody had sat in at the end on one of my sessions because I think he just wanted to see what it was like. And that was the first time we met. I had met John maybe once in the hallways, but really you're alone. Luckily, in some scenes, if Brianna or John or Cody had already recorded
They
that
play
scene
it too.
for me, which is very helpful. But this game in particular was so technical because it's already recorded in Japanese first. So we have to fit each line
In the
translated
same.
frame by frame. I
Mm,
mean, to the millisecond, to the point where I was, you think, guys, you're nitpicking. Come on,
yeah.
it's
It
the
was the
same.
same with the 15 voice actors. They said like they're like, we need you to shave off half a second on that, and he's like, you know,
Okay, yeah. So it's very technical, much more than any other medium. Even more than because even during Final Fantasy, I went and did some non-player characters in other video games, and it feels so different because they're like, yeah, add a few lines, add a few words. Who cares? You could do a few breaths. I'm like, wow, coming
mm.
from Final Fantasy, you have to be right in the right time. So it's just very technical.
And like I said, the chemistry between Tifa and Cloud is quite something special. And then, but what was surprising to me as I've played some of it now is there's actually quite a bit of chemistry between Jessie and the Cloud, which is definitely going to get interesting as I make my way through that. So the next question comes in, and it's a question that has been asked to all our guests today, which is absolutely crazy. But you're aware of these promos that are taking place with all different products. I think in the US, it's a chocolate bar they're doing it with, where Tifa's on, isn't it? But in the UK, Tifa, all the characters are drawn on pasta dishes.
Oh my God.
Did you not know
Like,
this? Yeah, it's
no.
like pasta, what do you have? Do you have Mr. Noodles in the States or
Um,
Super Noodles or whatever? Just like the little pre-packed noodle packs and things like that, and the little pot noodles and pastas, and also your faces are like, well, not your face, but like Tifa's face is slapped all over it.
wow.
Yeah,
I
so
also haven't been to the store. I go to the store once every
it's
three
all
weeks
good.
skin goggles. And,
I
I mean,
hear you. I hear you. So curiosity, if Tifa was on or you were on a pasta dish, what flavor would you be?
of pasta?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I almost want to say ramen noodles, like instant ramen, but
Well, that's basically what you're on. Everyone's on
okay,
that, so
great.
it's good enough.
I'm a big fan. I'm sure that'll be in a lot of college dorms.
Brianna was said bacon, had to be bacon. And John, I feel like, what did John say? I feel like I think he said anything about fettuccine. I think he said he was happy. So
I mean, I'm not going to be picky with any sort of pasta. Any carb is pretty sasatisfying for
I
me.
mean, I'm asking someone with an Italian background about what their favorite pasta is. So
I
this is a very
promise.
weird conversation.
Like, no.
So now that we're getting, we're literally on the brink of the launch of this game. How are you feeling? You got butterflies? Are you quite? Because I mean, you're no stranger to acting. You've done a lot of work. So are you feeling pretty confident about how the way that the players are going to react?
Um, I think it's a mix of being really excited that this is finally going to be out in the world because we spent so many hours working on this. And I think at the same time, it's obviously really scary because when you do spend this many hours with a character and with a story, it feels very precious and sacred to us as actors. And it's really scary to put it out in the universe for everyone to critique it. But I mean, I think so far the reception has been great, and I'm really proud of this game. And I think visually it is stunning. I think the story is amazing. I mean, compared to, the original version, I can't imagine. I hope that it lives up to everyone's expectations. So scary, exciting, it's like bubbly feeling.
Hmm. And obviously, this is really just the beginning of a fairly long journey, hopefully, assuming the game does as well as everyone hopes. And that must be exciting because this really isn't a one time gig. You're gonna live and breathe this character for probably quite some time.
Well, I think that's what made me feel so close to Tifa in particular is because we're alone in this recording booth. And I was voicing her for so many hours, especially at the end. I was going in every single day. So when I wrapped, I mean, I was crying embarrassingly. I don't usually cry when we wrap a project,
That
but
was just before Christmas, if I recall right. I think it was around just before, because I think the plan was to have everything wrapped up by Christmas time.
so yes, so it was just, it was emotional because you feel so close to that character that you've lived with now for hundreds of hours. Yeah, so yeah, she just means a lot to me, and I hope that we get to do it again. That's what the directors, they were like, "Why are you crying? We're gonna be back." But yeah, I mean, I care about her a lot, and this project meant a lot to me, and it's scary and exciting. You know, it's like putting your baby out there.
Do you plan to take the jump and play through and
Yeah,
experience? Yeah.
yeah. I mean, that's all I'm looking forward to for tomorrow. We've
Yeah.
already talked about like when can we start downloading it, and
It's not
yeah,
like really you can go out right now, is it? So you might as well make the most of the experience.
yeah, it's raining anyways here. I'm like, it's great
Raining
time.
in LA? I didn't think it rained in LA.
No, it's not what I signed up for.
No. So with E3, that would have been your first. No, sorry, PAX. With PAX, was that the first time you'd really interacted with fans for the remake?
Oh yeah, I
Yeah.
had never been to any sort of video game convention, so I was so nervous. I really didn't know what to expect, and I think in a lot of ways I felt like such a fish out of water. Um, and I was scared. I mean, this is a game and characters that people have fallen in love with and played for so many years. So everyone kind of has their own interpretation of who Tifa is and what each character is. So it was a little scary. However, PAX, I mean, at least in my experience, was phenomenal. Everyone was so kind and welcoming and just really excited to talk about the game and the character. And so that made me feel great, and it made the game even more special to me when you get to hear face to face how much this means to certain people. Those kind of stories are so touching. And you know, when I decided to become an actor, it's like I never really envisioned this. I never thought, wow, I could be a part of something that is going to really mean so much to people. So
You wait till you come to a Final
Liddy.
Fantasy centric event, and then you're like I mean, you would have felt it. The fans that were coming to you at PAX, they're just they're in. This is their moment. It's really special for them.
Oh yeah, and I met people like dressed as Tifa. It's really surreal. It's really it's a crazy thing to get to be a part of. I mean, I've done some projects, but I don't think anything on this level of this fandom.
I would say it was safe to assume that you've never cosplayed before. Then, so is there a possibility, an opportunity for you to, whip out the punching gloves and dress up as Tifa?
The problem with Tifa is she has the perfect body, so it's kind of unfair. I would have to be training for months. Maybe that's good motivation for me.
Well, everyone's in quarantine. Might as well make the most of it, right?
Yeah, the people that live below me will probably be pissed off though if I start doing.
Well, I have like a room that I put a bunch of gym equipment in like a year ago. Haven't barely left the house in 3 weeks, and I've barely been in that room 3 times. So it's the story of life, isn't it? Sadly,
That just goes to show you. Yeah, it doesn't matter. There are things I'm like, wow, I guess I haven't organized my closet yet. Probably never going to do that.
Oh, I've been good for that. I've cleaned like everything. I've been very good for that.
Really?
You'll be very proud of the closet behind me. It's been massively cleared out. Well, thank you very much for joining us today. It's a pleasure to speak. This is actually the first time we've spoke. We didn't have an opportunity to speak prior to this, so it's.
Thank you for having me. I'm glad we got in touch finally.
Yes, thank you, and hopefully we'll see you at a KupoCon in the future. We'd absolutely love to have you, and it's really quite something like it's. I can't quite describe it until you've experienced it. I think John's kind of giving you an idea.
John was raving about it. He speaks so highly of you guys and the events, and so I would love to come out. Yeah, once the world is back to normal.
Absolutely,
oh my God.
Absolutely. Well, take care of yourself, and thank you so much for joining us today. I really do appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Stay safe.
Thank you. Take care.
Bye.
So I'm going to switch over.